Coach, what have you seen so far in comparison to where you were last year from this team?
Well, we only had 3 practices, so one real practice, which we were in pads. So that's kind of hard to say right now. But as a whole, the different body types that we have here is a big difference that have come in, and the guys that have come in came in for a specific purpose. So things that we really identified and we went after. So in that sense, that's probably the biggest difference right now is personnel.
And how do you see the personnel in your room right now? How do you give it an evaluation? I know it's hard to evaluate after 3 practices, but as they've worked all throughout, the from the last game to today, how do you see them growing?
Well, some of the guys are going into the third year of college, so you expect those guys to really take a big step going into this season. Some of those guys have been playing since their freshman year, and just experience-wise. And then there's guys that have come in that we brought in that just had a specific skill set that we needed. And so you see the competition in the room really growing. And that's probably the biggest thing is my room is very deep, and there's a lot of competition.
With such a deep room, how does that change the way that you coach these guys?
My coaching doesn't change. It's still the same expectations. And just how, since I've been here, everything's based off of production and what they do. Now, our guys, there's a lot of guys in the same boat. So a lot of guys are very paranoid and trying to earn a job, which is great, But my approach has always been the same. So it's been consistent. I know exactly what we need, what we want, and it's up to them. Whoever does it the best job wins the job.
Coach, I remember the last time we talked prepping for the bowl game, I think Coach Wood had just been hired. You weren't exactly too sure yet, kind of the differences of the roles your guys were going to have to play in his scheme. I guess what are some of the differences in what their job is now as compared to in the last scheme?
Well, a lot of, very similar, very similar scheme stuff, just different tools here and there that are different. If it's coverage-wise or how we're playing on the edge in certain calls, that's the biggest thing.
I guess who do you have right now playing what? Like as far as which side or how interchangeable are those, or who do you really have at certain spots?
Yeah, so the spots are pretty much the same as previous. You got our big ends, and then you got the dogs in the boundary, which we called B before and which we call Fs to the field. So those body types have not changed, but going into specific people, Romelo's playing the dog position along with Cheddar, along with Terrell and Isaac. Joe would be kind of a mixed hybrid person when he comes back. And then to the field, you still got Eddie, Braylon, Charles, Chuck, those big guys that have always played that big end position. So in that sense, it's pretty much stayed the same.
And you talked about some of the guys that are going into their third year, but the 3 freshmen that y'all signed, or I guess they're going to be redshirt freshmen, Charles, Eddie, and Cheddar. I guess how much do you expect to? I know it's very early, but I guess how much do you want to see from them as you kind of think about what their role could be next season?
It's all based off of them. They build their own role. I don't have any expectations on them of what they until they create it, and then my expectations will go. Right now, my expectations for them is to get the playbook down, play fast, play hard, be violent. So I have no idea what their role is going to be. They're going to have to earn that.
You mentioned some of the new look people, and obviously a guy you targeted. You mentioned Romelo. I know it's 3 practices, but what did you like about him before you even got him here?
Yeah, it's going into this season. What Blanche and the rest of the recruiting office and what we did really well was identify exactly what we needed. And one of the things that we struggled in was pass rush. So what Romello brings to the table is he's a natural pass rusher. Different tools, different twitch than what we have and what we're continue to develop, but he just brings that different aspect. Now, is he a finished product? No. We got a lot of work to do together, earn the trust with one another and try to fine-tune his skill set. But he's been a great addition so far.
Is a pass rusher like that easier to integrate into your system? And given how much he's moved around, is it easier for him to transition into a different school like this?
Yeah, he's had a lot of great coaches, and he's the benefit of that is he picked up a lot of great skill sets and tools from other guys, So he does things very natural. Off of his film, he has like I said, a great knack to get after the passer. Now, it's my job to make him a overall product. Does it do great things in every aspect?
Anybody else? Coach, I'll ask you about some of the young guys. Like, can you kind of tell me your expectations for maybe like Eddie and Charles Anderson and Chetta, some of the guys like that who we haven't seen much of yet?
Yeah, so they each have different tools and different skill sets. The biggest thing is stop processing. When you're young guys and you're learning, this is their second system in 2 years, so with them coming in last year, so now you're retraining their mind again, so just like everybody else. But these guys, it's just a matter of can they get down the playbook and play fast. Right now, everything is kind of moving, kind of hesitant because they're just not as comfortable yet. Do they have the skill set? Yes, of course. But it's just a matter of how fast they can learn and how fast they can adjust to the game to really develop a role.
Where was Dylan Spencer before he got hurt last year? Obviously, I guess not practicing this spring, but what were your expectations for him, say, in July? What did you think what level did you think he could get to before he got sidelined?
A solid role player that would get some reps here and there throughout the season, build off of what he did the year before, his true freshman year. Wasn't quite a finished product yet either, but, the progression of young guys, you got to look at the progression of young college football players. It's very rare for guys to come in right away and get a big role. It's usually built off of that. So Dylan being his true freshman year, he played a little bit, and then going into last year, hoping that he played a little bit more, got more comfortable with the scheme, and now he has to start all over.
I was going to ask you also, you said, if I understood you correctly, you talked earlier about, the skill and the skill sets that y'all needed and went looking for, and then, said Romello was a pass rusher. With all the guys in your room, a lot of those guys had kind of pretty high expectations for them. Do they have that pass rushing ability? You're just trying to unlock it, and it kind of comes with experience?
Yeah, experience, and then, when it comes to skill set, some guys are more power rushers. Some guys are not the take off the speed around the corner type of guys, and those are the guys that we were really targeting going into this year and bringing in Chetta last year. And Terrell ended up developing really well and gaining a role last year in that sense. And that's what Romello brings, is that aspect that we didn't have, and he's a seasoned vet. He's played a lot of football.
Who are some of the guys that you feel like have the potential in terms of, you said, power rushers? Who kind of has that skill set?
As a power rusher?
Yeah.
So that would be like Isaac Smith, Joseph Adedire, our big guys. Sure, I'm trying to think. Chuck, some of our big ends, so it's just a matter of balancing those skill sets, where I could put them, where they operate the best at, what packages are they suited for.